Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Mogbe, back here in Lagos. Austin will join me shortly. Yes, it's all about the Nigeria Football Federation and of course the resignation of the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation, starting from the President Guzo to the Secretary General, and that is why the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has directed a reform for Nigerian football. I think Austin is ready to join us.
What a great to you, Cecilia, and of course everyone joining us on the show tonight. Always an action-packed sort of sports. Football administration and management in Nigeria gets our attention on the show tonight. Cecilia, now we know that football politics in Nigeria is very deep, but I like that the presidency, they didn't mention anything about who has resigned or not. Say it is time for us to reform football in Nigeria, and that's a core objective.
Okay, yeah, we'll be talking about that, but there are other issues around the world of sports, but that will be our major focus. We'll touch down on basketball a little bit. The Tigers, the second round, the second phase of the qualifiers for the FIBA 2027 World Cup. They lost to Cameroon by 16 points just a few hours ago. We'll talk about that on the show tonight. Of course, Edo Queens keep flying, talking about the Wafu B tournament. They're playing for the qualification to the CAF Champions League later in the year. Edo Queens beating ASEC Mimosa by 3-1. ASEC Mimosa happens to be defending champions for Wafu B. They were in the final of the CAF Champions League last time. So that will also get our attention. We'll touch a little bit about athletics now. Tobiloba Amuso used to be the world record holder in 100 meters hurdle. She is no more the world record holder because Masai Russell decided to break that record just a few hours, less than an hour ago. Yes, in Zurich, in Switzerland. And what happened? 12.09. That's what she ran. Okay. So that record of 12.12 by Amuso that was done in 2022 in Eugene and at the World Championships has been broken. So there's a new world record holder in the 100 meters. Also, the hurdles, there's also a new world record holder in that one. But our focus, obviously, is on football. Athletics will get a little bit of our attention later. And, of course, we'll talk basketball. Yes, Austin, where are we starting from? We start off with the reforms, or where are we starting from? This is a discussion that you've been thinking it could have happened immediately after Super Eagles failed to qualify for the World Cup. But that didn't happen. They had to wait, and Falcons happened. And, of course, the fact-finding mission and everything that is happening in Nigerian football. But we will be joined by two or three guests on the show tonight. Once they're ready to join us, we'll bring all of them in. Fanny Amun is also joining us. We also have, before they all join us, let's just take a listen to what happened earlier today, where the NFF, or rather former NFF president, Ibrahim Guzo, resigned from his position as the president of the federation.
This year we go with the Super Falcons. It has been going the good way that all expected, because this is the first time they will not qualify for the World Cup and even to defend the trophy. Last year we were not able to qualify for the World Cup after our playoff games, but the bulk of all these problems come to the board. But we are proud to say that at least we can also say our own part of successes, which all of you are aware of. And then because of that, there was so much glamour from here and there, but what stakeholders, everybody, about what is going on, about the state of football. Then we feel it's important to see that at least as Nigerians, nobody is greater than this country. And as people that have been in football, managing football, we need to look at ourselves and say, okay, what next? At least there are so many people that can do it. So we're doing a lot of consultation to your family, friends, stakeholders, and all of them. And then I just want to tell you, I decided to resign my position as the president of NFF. And then I advised my board members, I informed them, and I advised them, anybody that will follow me should also resign. But as I'm talking to you, I cannot tell you who and who, how many board members resign, because they are not submitting or they are not communicating to me. They have not communicated their resignation directly to me. So, but for me, I want to make it clear, and by the grace of God, I hope we continue to give our contribution, because our experience and the connections and relationship we have within the African football will never allow it in vain, to go in vain.
Right, that's the former NFF president announcing his resignation earlier today in Abuja. And of course, after that, during the press conference, he said that, well, he has advised other members to resign. And immediately after that, they had to send out a tweet on their social media handle that all of them, from the Secretary General, the Executive Committee of Nigerian Football Federation, they've all resigned from their position. Now, Austin, this is a discussion that maybe could have happened immediately after the Super Eagles failed to qualify for the World Cup back-to-back, and people were calling for their resignation. But then, with all the things happening, so many slaps coming for the Nigerian Football Federation after what happened in Morocco for the Super Falcons, a whole lot. Fact-finding committee was also set up, headed by veteran coach Fanny Amun. He will be joining us on the program. When he's ready to join us, we're going to ask him what happened to the fact-finding report that was sent out earlier. Are they going to throw that under the bus, or what's going to happen? Just throw it away. Or what's going to happen in this one? But Austin, let's start off with this one. What do you think, this whole resignation thing, what does it really, I mean, where do we go from here, really? Yeah. Before we go to the presidency talking about comprehensive reform of Nigerian football, because right now there's actually a vacuum, really.
Yeah, there's a vacuum, and that's why, the Congress of the Nigerian Football Federation, they've been in a meeting since morning, just trying to let us understand the next step. I'm sure they'll come up with recommendations of who can come in as an interim president, till they finalize modalities for the elections, or they will agree for a normalization committee to be set up, and then we get somebody who will lead football till we have another election for a new president to be sworn in. I'll be getting some names, mathematical, Shego Odegbami, Akunle Shodame, Amadou Melvin Pinnick, are some of the names that, persons are recommending that can step in that interim capacity. But Ibrahim Gusso is gone. And I think it's a good one for football in Nigeria, because now anyone who is coming to lead Nigeria's football, that we are not joking anymore. The people, the media, the presidency, everybody, if you're coming to head football in Nigeria, you must come correct. Your passion must be top notch. You must, particularly now with the state of football in Nigeria, you must be a reformer. You must be somebody who is coming. And see, that's why I like that the presidency, they are leading that charge, that we must start the reforms of football in Nigeria. And I want to thank the Super Falcons. So, Cecilia, now I know that women are powerful. Because the men didn't qualify, nothing happened. The moment the Super Falcons failed to qualify for the World Cup for the first time since 1991, I was no.
This is right.
Well, no. We're not going to hear anything again. But it must be said, and people have come for me and have said what I said. Ibrahim Gusso and this NFF body have been terrible. Been poor in any way you want to define the word poor. And now, because you're resigning, we're hearing the Adidas deal has been sealed, signed, delivered, and after Nike, they will come in, they will give us 1.6 million. But because now you're leaving office, they don't talk, they don't communicate. It's not, you see, when you hold public office, you must be transparent, you must be accountable, you must be responsible. This is what I've always been saying about this NFF board. Criticize Amadou Pinnick and his board for everything that they did wrong. They were in our faces, into us, But Ibrahim Gusso now, you see, you've been forced to talk to people, by coming to say that you're going to resign. I think he shouldn't have waited for his family, friends, and the people he mentioned that told him to resign.
Austin, the thing people have been saying that maybe it was pressure to actually resign, because this is the only way, pressure to resign, because there was obviously going to be investigation going on with the 170 billion naira, issues concerning payments of salaries of and wages of players, outstanding, bonuses of players, and some of the issues, surrounding the Nigerian Football Federation. That a whole lot could have happened. Maybe he was forced to step down or was forced to resign. But the question is, what he said, during the announcement was that he said he left the federation better than he met it? I mean, that's the question so many people have been asking. If you live in better than you actually meet it, so there is a big question right there. So one of our guests is joining us right now. I think the former chairman of Nigeria Football Federation Fact-Finding Committee, Fanny Amun, is joining us from Abuja to talk more about what will happen to the report, that they came up with after that fact-finding committee submitted their report, because he resigned immediately after the whole thing was over. Good evening, Coach. Good to have you join us on the program.
Ambassador is trying to get ready.
Okay.
When he's set up properly. I can see him. He's ready, but not fully ready. When he's ready, we will bring him into the conversation. But yes, Cecilia, I don't know what Ibrahim Gusso meant by saying that he met football better than how he met it. We didn't qualify for the 2022 World Cup. You came in, we didn't qualify for the 2026 edition. Our league football, I can't beat my chest and say it's better than I was 4 years ago. Women's football isn't all that fantastic. What else? Grassroots. Subs was struggling. During Ahmad Yupinic and Sheyi Akiumi's time, the grassroots had conversations. We had I think there was an under 15 league that was sponsored by a bank in Nigeria. We had the MPFL under 15 promises. We had the La Liga, deal going on. It was busy. So what are we doing now? We can't even qualify properly for under 17 competitions in Africa. Let me bring on a veteran journalist, Kule Solaja, joins us now on the show. Kule Solaja, sporty greetings. Good to have you on Sports Tonight.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure joining you.
I've been reading your articles, your news stories, and tell me about this resignation. I know this is the third time that we'll have an NFF board resign en masse. What's different about this one?
Well, the difference about this one is that it was the result of very, very obvious failure. In the case of the one of 1964, it was because those in authority then, those in the then NFF, felt that they were being suffocated, that the supervision by the then National Sports Council was so much that they could not take any action of their own. So they felt, it was the NLC that was running the Football Association then, so they resigned. The same thing happened in the case of Chuba Ikpeazu when he resigned in 1967 for the same reason. But in this particular instance, it was as a result of very, very glaring failure, which everybody saw, except those who have sentiments to share that say, okay, this thing is bad, but not too bad. Or the man in charge was not the reason why we didn't qualify for World Cup, why we didn't qualify for even the Junior World Cup under 20, under 17, that we were the major country, the major power in Africa. Now we struggle to even qualify, yet we don't qualify.
I know. Ibrahim Gusso and this NFF board, he said they are living football better than how they met it. Do you agree?
Well, that's an opinion, and everybody is entitled to his opinion. That is his own opinion, but I don't share that, and I'm sure many people too don't share that. If you are living football, the NFF, better than you met it, there will not have been any reason for anybody to ask you to resign or for to have any cause not to even complete your tenure. So if you have improved the NFF, there will have been no reason for you to resign.
Cecilia.
Just mentioned that if he had actually improved, he wouldn't have resigned. But he actually listed some highs and some of the things he achieved during his time. But taking a look at it, you also mentioned that he may not be the reason, or rather, it may not be, he said it may not be the reason why, most of the failures that happen. He may not just be the only one. But what do you really think is responsible for these failures? Because this is actually deep. Super Eagles back to back. Super Falcons, of course, just once. Then you have the under 20. You mentioned the under 20, the under 17. So in the last 4 years, the struggle has been going on. Is it really the problem, or we have like a fundamental structural issues that we've been having that we've not bothered to address over the years?
Yes, there are structural problems, but he was also part of that problem. For instance, now we started the World Cup qualifying series in a very, very poor form. And I remember I have cause to even ask him that the Super Eagles camp in New York there were being invaded by content creators. But even where journalists cannot even go to, the content creators were given access. And they were asking irrelevant questions. They were even talking irrelevancies on the eve of a match. And they have accesses to the players' room and everything. Would that have happened in the era when the Clement Westaphan was in charge of the Super Eagles? Certainly no. Not even board members will have access to the team, let alone content creators. And those people, I remember I met Alhaji Guso in one match in Ikene, and I asked him shortly after we played against Rwanda, the away match, where we had a win of a World Cup qualifying series in 7 matches previously. And I asked him, say this thing, I sent you a message that this thing is happening in the Super Eagles. You didn't react. Yeah. All you just told me that, we are improving on that. Which means you cannot give an outright stop page to that issue. You still have to find a way of asking content creators not to infiltrate the camp and all those things. So a leader will have taken a decisive decision. Say, okay, from this moment, anybody not directly involved with the team should not have access to the camp. So all he said was that, okay, we are trying, we will improve on that. That is not what I expect of a leader. That is what taking a team to the World Cup. That's just one instance.
Okay.
There could be many others.
Okay. Now, for the Super Falcons issue, I mean, usually apart from when you have Brandon Wardrum when he was in charge, that's the only time Nigeria actually played a series of friendlies. I mean, the US Invitational was there, the one in Turkey was also there, but the last year when they went for Mission X, there was not much of preparations apart from the game against Portugal before they went to Morocco. But this time around, there was actually none. Apart from Cameroon and Senegal, and then the warm-up game against Tanzania before they started the game. But they went on to win last year. But this year, it was kind of different. That's why I was asking if it's a structural problem or if it's just only about Guso, or it's something that was building up and then it blows up in our face.
Well, in the case of Super Falcon, it's a complicated issue in the sense that, yes, they didn't really have much matches before going for the Women African Cup of Nations. I remember I watched them twice in the Kenya when they played against Senegal. But then, you ask yourself, with the kind of pedigree that we carry in women's football, even though it's fast diminishing, we were not as assertive as we were some years back. When the Super Falcons will meet an African team, all you'll be thinking about is what will be discussed. The issue of winning is a foregone conclusion. But that is not the issue now. We struggled in our first match and we stumbled against Malawi. We just struggled to have a victory over Zimbabwe. Over Zambia. And Egypt, that was being beaten by everyone, we still struggle to beat them. Thank God for 3 or 4 penalty kicks. Otherwise, the result would have been otherwise.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't pick the signals. Okay. We didn't know, we didn't see, the same pattern of play. The defense was so yawning gaps and all this, being penetrated anyhow. we didn't do anything. And then, as usual, when anything goes wrong, the coach will always be the
We'll come back. We'll come back to you, Kule Solaja. There's so much to talk about. Just hold your thoughts there. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Former Secretary General of the Nigeria Football Federation, former under 17 coach, former chairman of the fact-finding committee, Fanny Amun, is standing by. Join us. We'll go on this quick break. When we come back, what's the way forward for football in Nigeria? That's the conversation. Don't go anywhere. Stay.
I just want to tell you, I decided to resign my position as the president of NFF, and then I advised my board members, I informed them, and I advised them, anybody that will follow me should also resign.
Ibrahim Guzo's exit did not come as a surprise to keen followers of Nigerian football, particularly after the Super Falcons missed the FIFA Women's World Cup for the first time since the year 1991. The Super Eagles' failure to qualify for this year's FIFA World Cup further piled pressure on his administration, eventually forcing him to throw in the towel. On the flip side, the Federation under Guzo recorded some successes, particularly in reforming the domestic leagues, attracting increased corporate sponsorship and investment into Nigerian football. Football stakeholders have welcomed the development, while calling for a broader overhaul of the NFF.
That place needs to be liberated. That's why I'm calling up FIFA, CAF, the NSC, and the NFF. They have to get it right. Because what they tell people is that government is interfering. How now? Tell me. Government is not interfering. You are the one that is interfering, that sees government as an interference. They make the laws and oversight them. You don't recognize them. So please, if you're not going to do 15 election, whether you call it normalization, I said amend the status and accommodate everybody.
We need to go back to the drawing board, take cue from other countries, other federations on what they are doing, and we can do that because we are not short of talent. We have the talent. We just have to ensure that our governance is more transparent, things are done properly to favor the game and to favor the talents that we have.
What I believe is that they do not even let those who care about sports in Nigeria to get to that position, and I feel that's the biggest problem we have. If those who care about sports can actually get into positions where they can show that love, I think it will change. So we just have people who are interested in their pockets.
Ibrahim Guzo's resignation is also expected to trigger a possible postponement of the NFF elections, currently slated for September the 27th in Lafia, Nasarawa State. His tenure leaves behind a legacy that underscores both the potential and the immense volatility of managing Nigerian football.
Yeah, that's it. That's a report put together on, the resignation of former NFF president Ibrahim Guzo. He who resigned from that position today in Abuja. I mentioned before the break that former Secretary General, former Golden Eaglets coach, former chairman fact-finding committee who put Ibrahim Guzo and his team put together a fact-finding committee after the Super Falcons failed to qualify for the World Cup. Fanny Amun headed that committee, joins us now live on the show. Good evening, Ambassador. Welcome to Sports Tonight.
How are you, Kon?
I'm doing great. I'm fantastic. Good to see you. How are you?
Are you back on your sabbatical?
I'm in London, but I'm following everything happening in Nigeria. I'm sure we listened to you talking about government interference not being what we tell me to be in Nigeria. Can you make us understand what you're trying to say there? Hello, Ambassador.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, I wanted you to explain what is really government interference in football that we always say in Nigeria. How when this happens, FIFA will come for us. What were you trying to say?
What I've said is that
gathering where you talked about it.
Government has never interfered in football or sports. They make laws, formulate policies, and oversight.
Fantastic. I'll leave it at that. Your case state. Let's talk about that fact-finding committee. You were the chairman. Ibrahim Gusau and his team, they're out of the way now. What happens to that fact-finding job that you and those guys did?
Well, first and foremost, fact finding is only one word. What has happened? And we've done our very best to the interest of Nigeria, because you are aware that every transitions has failed. It has failed. After every year, second year, third year, fourth year, because people are disenfranchised. They told them amend the statute to accommodate everybody. If Mr. President Jonathan asks them to open up the statute so that people can come in and contribute their quota, the late president may so rest in peace as well gave them the directive. The sitting president now, the same thing, and they refuse as if it's a family venture. So the issue is very straight. No malice to anybody. I'm not an insider with them. For them to have nominated me to head that committee, I thank them so well. But nobody can cajole me to do what I don't want to do. I have all the wealth of experience to speak to the truth, and I spoke to the truth.
And right after you spoke your truth, you resigned. Why did you quit from that role?
The issue is they say I should guide them, fact finding. And I did all to the best of my knowledge, invited people. I was called several times. People are willing to bear witnesses. And the other one, you said, the woeful performance in WAFCON. I said I disagree. If a country has won WAFCON 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of record times, and less than 1 year, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria celebrated them and gave them dollars, $100,000 each. Gave them other things, which includes the usual largesse, CFOs. I believe that the best thing to have been done is to pat them on their back, not to call it woeful performance. So please, I was a sole administrator. Please, I was a secretary general. Please, I was a technical director. All these things have served. So I don't know the perspective they are looking at it to call success. The game is a fair play. So the team has not failed, please. That's what I've told the entire world. He who fights to run away lives to fight another day. So if they are done, according to them, they say they have done badly. Ask them the circumstances. They go for a trip. All the board members are entitled to extra code, 600, 700. They refuse to give me the details. And the players and coaches are not paid. You are not asking me why are they taking money or taking bribe, becoming managers of players? Please, again, all what I've outlined, I call it an allege. As a board members, managers of team of players or coaches or not, it's not me. I've pleaded with them to use their internal mechanism to find out the truth. Even among the board members, they called me. And staffs are there forever as permanent secretary, forever. So please, the facts, people are here to come and bear witness anytime, any day. So they better allow the sleeping dog to lie. That's the way I've seen it. They are my friends. Gusau remains my friend. The GS remains my friend forever.
Okay.
But if you ask me to come and chair such a committee, you must allow me to do my best.
Okay, Ambassador.
And we did our best. Yeah.
Okay. Ambassador, what are some of these issues, that maybe you found out, maybe you want to let us know some of the issues that you feel that can be addressed immediately? Because with the resignation now of the executive board members of the Nigerian Football Federation, we don't even know what to
happen. Madam, when the time comes, all I've done two things: that the federation need to be liberated. They must open the status. We want people who are tenable. We want people who are tenable. Cases every time, every now and then. I've appealed to those that have cases in court. The issue should not be an election. How do we liberate the Nigerian Football Federation? That is the most important thing. Now we have two dogs in the minister and the chairman National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko. We have the Director General in Olapade. And we have it best than this. In the past, they are politicians, they are appointing to those positions. So please, I believe history will not forgive Olapade. History will not forgive Balanche Udiko if the right thing is not done. If you say amend the status today, every one of them will withdraw their cases in court. We'll start afresh. That's what I'm saying. So please, I use this medium again to thank Mr. President for his bold step to put things right. I don't hate anybody. Look at the faces of all of them. What were they when I was there? You know the roles they played now. They don't hate me. I appreciate them. But it has not to do with me or them. It's the country. How can I liberate the federation? That's the way I've seen it. You have staffs there who are in one position forever. Look at the state FA chairman. From there for 20-something years. So tenor it. And say maybe 2 tenor or 4 years, whatever. Yeah. And put it at the end of maximum of 8 years. Please. That's what I'm saying. I don't hate anybody. Okay, right. Look at the electoral guideline. You said everybody will face the ethics committee except the executive board members. Is that not issues of it's draconian? You know, say some, if you want to contest within your zone, you must go for them to endorse you. Whereas you have told them not to endorse them. Yes, I have the information. Not a small boy now. You want to clear. I would suggest that if they are open, they should ask the Nigerian police, the EFCC, the ICPC, and the SS to screen contestants. That's the way I see it. They will be neutral. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, Ambassador.
We're all Nigerians.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for finding time to actually talk to us.
But you didn't address me properly. Address me, Fanny Amun, former Fight-Funding Committee Chairman and former member Ethics Committee, please. I will appreciate it better.
Okay. During my introduction, that's how I actually introduced you before you came on set. Former chairman of the Fact-Finding Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, there's a lot of issues going on. Also, we'll just take a look at the highs and lows of this current administration that just passed. I mean, you've read from the Ethics Committee, former Ethics Committee chairman, talking about some of the issues that they can address, which is really key, the way forward. We can have that's what the president said earlier when he directed a comprehensive football reform for Nigeria. And of course, this is to actually overcome repeated failures to qualify for major regional, continental, and world tournaments. In his words, he says, the reform must respond to a long-standing need to strengthen governance, administration, stakeholders' representation. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at this one first. That's the key achievement of the NFF president, Ibrahim Gusau, before we go back to the reforms that the president of the federation talked about. Promoting grassroots and amateur football development across Nigeria, improving coaching education through CAF D and A license programs. Yeah, I remember this, but this, I'm not sure about this, but this, yes, this was key. Supporting the development and improvement of domestic football leagues. Yeah, these are some of the key achievements of these administrations. So let's go to other achievements, that he talked about: reforming refereeing and match officiating systems. Yeah. The Super Eagles won silver at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, and the Super Eagles also won bronze at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. So these are some of the highlights of his achievements during his time. So now let's take a look at others. The Super Falcons won the 2025 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The Flamingos achieved first ever podium finish at the Under-17 Women's World Cup, and restoring Nigeria to the CAF A license coaching convention. This was actually done very well, because for a while we're not having such programs in Nigeria. Now the negatives as well, we move up to the Super Eagles failure to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Super Falcons also failed to qualify for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup. So as the first time, the Super Falcons will miss the World Cup since its inception in 1991, and also the Flying Eagles are failing to qualify for the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. That's Under-20, not even the World Cup. So these are some of the issues that were raised, and that's why the reform is necessary. Now let's take a look at if we have, let's go to Kolesolaja now. We've looked at these reforms. We've looked at the negatives from here, and he has talked about some of these issues. Now, the question I'm going to ask is, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has talked about, there's a statement, I wish I can see that. I'll quickly just read it out so that Kolesolaja can, reply to that, what the president said concerning the reforms that we would do in the country. I'll just read out some of it when the president said the reform must respond to a long-standing need to strengthen governance, administration, stakeholder representation, development pathways, domestic competitions, and accountability across Nigerian football. Also went further to say that football, Nigeria's most popular sport and the greatest beneficiary of public support, investment, and national attention, has continued to struggle basically due to structural deficits within the system. I think we have the full one now. Quickly just go through that. So now this is the full one coming from the president, the full statement coming from the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He said the reform must respond to a long-standing need to strengthen governance, administration, stakeholder representation, development pathways, domestic competitions, and accountability across Nigerian football. Now this is actually key. And what is the way forward for this one? So the National Sports Commission will be brought in for them to speak with the Secretariat of Nigerian Football Federation, see how this can be done in a holistic way. Kunle Sulaja, what do you think about this reform? What is the pathway? What is the way forward for this whole thing, so we don't, incur the wrath of people? Usually when things happen like this and people start saying maybe FIFA will come in.
Well, I'm happy that the issue of FIFA coming in has not been very dominant in this particular instance, probably because the FIFA president himself is also in battle. Well, coming to the issues at home here, I can't agree more than what the president has said, because we need to open up football. It was the football administration. It was becoming like a cult that you have to belong to a particular group. You must either be a state chairman or secretary for you to even have any dream of going into the air, which is very, very wrong, totally wrong. First and foremost, without the players, there can never be football. And without football, there can never be the football association or the football federation. So everybody involved in football must be allowed easy access into the Nigerian Football Federation. We have the club owners. Without the club owners, there will not be any competition. There will be no league. So the club owners must be represented. The players' union must be represented, and every other stakeholder, including the people from the corporate world. You can't be going to them and be asking for funds, and yet they cannot even find out how the money is sold from them are being spent. And besides that, what they have been using to mask everything is that, oh, we are following the FIFA statutes. Yes, FIFA membership is the federal, each member association, like the Nigerian Football Federation, the Ghana Football Association, the South African Football Association. Yes, that's what happens in FIFA and also in CAF. But if you look at the domestic associations worldwide, every one of them did not restrict themselves to just the counties or the states or the districts. It is open up to every every football stakeholder, and that is what is supposed to be in Nigeria. You cannot just take FIFA statutes and tailor your own domestic regulations, membership to it and say, okay, for you to ever dream of coming to the FA, if you like have football clubs, you cannot enter into the FA except you are a member of the state FA, you've been a member of the football federation itself, which means you just have a group of people. I mean, it's just like a royalty. You must belong to the royal family for you to ever think of getting to the throne. Okay. So that is what they have got the Nigerian Football Federation into. The supporters club needs to be there. The football stakeholders, the coaches, the referees, and everybody who has interest in football. There should be slots for them in that football federation.
I completely agree to that, Kole Solaja. Unfortunately, we do not have so much time tonight. We will bring you back because this conversation we'll continue to have it until we stabilize football in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time on the show tonight, Kole Solaja.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you.
Always. Thanks so much. And before we go, let's just see if we have 1 minute to listen to the outgoing, former president of Nigeria, Ibrahim Gusso, talking about the new deal with Adidas.
President of not also forget. We engaged Nike. This process started since 2024. We have been going up and down with them to a point that we couldn't reach an agreement because whatever they are offering, we still weren't satisfied with it. But finally, they have agreed that we can go ahead and look for some other partners if we feel we are not comfortable with what they can do. And at the end of the day, we contacted Adidas, we contacted some other key sponsors, and we were able to secure a substantial and a very good deal for Nigerian football when it comes to kid sponsorship with Adidas. The only thing why we did not make it public before now is because when you sign a contract, it has clauses. Even for us to have the privilege to go and discuss with other partners, we have to seek the permission of Nike out of the provisions of the contracts. But because of the way we had the relationship with them, they tried to give us the go-ahead, thinking we cannot get people that will respond to us the way we expected. And then luckily we were able to get the response, a good response from Adidas. And then secondly, Nike has the matching rights. Whatever any company will try to provide to us, we have to give them the opportunity to see if they can match it. If they can match it, then we have to go. And then when we follow what we receive from Adidas, they are not able to match it. But the most important thing is that we are constrained that it has to be maybe around September so that it can become public. But I feel today I have to say it because that contract has been duly completed, duly signed, and it is going to be a great turnover for Nigerian football. And it's to us, we made every inquiries that we need to do. It's about the highest kid sponsorship in Africa. No country in Africa has that kind of sponsorship. Adidas will be giving Nigeria $4.5 million every year in cash, and then they are going to be providing kits of $4 million every blessing year for our teams. So I think this is part of our vision going forward, and we feel by the grace of God with this. And apart from that, there are issues of royalties. Before now, for those of you that are maybe so much interested in trying to go and buy kits, Nike has only one shop in Nigeria, that is in Lagos, but Adidas has about 13 shops. So they're visible everywhere.
Okay, so that's it. Ibrahim Gusto gave us Adidas deal before he left. Something to remember. Cecilia, unfortunately, that's where they've cut off this edition of Tonight on Channels Television. Let me leave with the words of President Bola Tinubu. He said that football has continued to struggle due to some structural deficits. Nigeria, it's time to reflect and fix those structural deficits. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
And thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a good night's rest.